Hello and welcome to the Blue House Bull Session. We are happy to be with you on this fantastic Wednesday evening. I am joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Uber Fuzzy, and our special guest, Campy DK.
It is I,
Welcome.
Campy DK.
Welcome, welcome. You may know him from the Coliseum events. You may know him from Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments. You may know him from Zeldathon previously. You should know this guy, one of the sweetest and most genuine people I know.
If some people know me, that might be a little scary.
Eh, they've seen you. They've seen your work before. They've seen you at Kaizo. You know, they've seen you at drone controllers. They've seen you at all of those. I love that stuff, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So tell me how you got started with doing all the Kaizo stuff, man.
The Kaizo stuff specifically. So like the Coliseum stuff. That all started around 2017. MC and I just got hired at Direct Relief. So kind of just like take you back 1 year from when everything happened. So Direct Relief flew MC and myself out as kind of a thank you gesture for all of the everything that we were doing with Zeldathon at the time. So they flew us out and toured us the old facility, and how Direct Relief used to be was like one warehouse space, really small, and there's just a bunch of cubicles and all that stuff. So it was a really tiny operation. It was less than 60 staff at the time, like through the whole company. It was crazy. So they flew us out, they toured us, they gave us the information, and when I sat down with, I think it was the CFO, CEO, and just a lot of other people, and they were just giving me information, I just was like, hey, I would love to work here. Like that thing, like it's just like anytime you find like passion in something, I was like, man, I would love to work here. And they were like kind of taken back, like, wait, really? Um, so I was like, yeah. And then MC and I went back to the hotel that night because we were gonna go back the next day and just like hang out some more. And MC was like, yeah, I want to be a part of this too. I want to do this. I was like, okay, let's make something. And so we pitched the gaming program. They flew us back out a couple months later. They got us our first contract, and then they gave us a formal contract after that. So during that time, it was kind of like we just got into this position of being in. We were still like very new. Like there was not a lot of gaming programs in the charity scene. St. Jude was the largest at the time. So we're trying to differentiate ourselves. We've seen like the path St. Jude was going on, and we're like, okay, what do we want to do differently this time? We don't want to cast the largest net. We want to kind of work with communities. So in the back of my mind, I had this kind of idea. There was a group called Beyond the Summit that created a tournament series, like an invitational, where they rented out a like an Airbnb or a house that they had rented out, and they made it like a production studio.
Yeah.
And it was really cool, and I really enjoyed it. But it was a tournament, and it was like for profit. So I was trying to figure out how to meld that, but also like come up with new ideas, try to find some partnerships. So um get into 2017, I or no 2016, I fly out to Calithon 2, which was in San Jose. It was part of like an anime convention, but they had like the whole speed running event. And at that time, I was watching a lot of people on Twitch. I was trying to figure out like, okay, who's on the come up, who's not, like who do we want to partner with? And there was Grand Pooh Bear, which was on the come up for Mario Maker 1.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I've been watching this. This is really popping off this community. And the Games Done Quick that was going to, or AGDQ, I think it was going to be 2017. They weren't going to do a Mario Maker segment, and it was very popular the last two events. So I was like, that's really weird. So I just walked right up to him. No pitch. Like, it was kind of like an elevator pitch, and I was just like, I have this crazy idea. You don't know me. We don't know each other, but would you want to do this crazy event? And he said, yeah, this sounds awesome. I was like, cool beans. And then he messaged, I was like, here's my details, all that stuff. He messages me within like the next week. That night I get on the call or get the phone with MC, and I'm like, yo, dude, we gotta do this. We gotta talk to my boss, our boss, and just make sure this works. And it kind of just went from there, where we rented a house in Anaheim. We decided to do it after right before TwitchCon or after TwitchCon in 2017. We had a bunch of nerds in a house. Disney house. It was small. It was smelly. Had a ball pit that probably had pee in it. But yeah, that was the first Coliseum ever, and it's kind of grown since.
Man, that's wild. Every time I see the event, I say, someday I'm going to find a way to be a part of that. And it ain't going to be by playing something because I am bad at video games.
Oh, I'm bad, and I'm lucky enough to work with people who are better than me at video games. It's awesome.
Yeah, you really do. You like catch a level of talent that elevates you, and you find the people that fill in the spots you're not quite
Yeah.
up to. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you had to pull a number out of the air, can you give us a guess how much in total DR has raised through events that you and MC have been out in front of?
Um, right now, so from like with Zeldathon and everything, I think it's over 2 million. Um, I think Coliseums are is over 2 million with a lot of those events that we've worked with. That's around there. A lot of like right, so Coliseums are like, you know, our big thing we do at Direct Relief, our in-house productions. But there's a lot of stuff on day to day that I work on with Direct Relief. I'm the online engagement manager. So I work with a lot of communities that they'll come and reach out to me and I'll help them out. I also have worked with a lot of companies, facilitating a lot of, cool things going on in the background. One of the cool ones we worked with was with PUBG Mobile, which is different from PUBG Normal. It's actually owned by Tencent. And I got to work with them and talk to Tencent, got to talk to a lot of them, facilitated a huge donation from Tencent during COVID. Epic did a $25 million donation where they just allowed their cash shop in Fortnite 2 weeks to be split between three charities. So we get to work with a lot of companies. So that's normally, that's my day to day. But the Coliseums are, that extra thing I get to do. But yeah, through all the events, I think it's cleared over 2 million at the moment. It might be more, but I know 2 million's there. We said it recently, so it's somewhere there.
That's wild. That is absolutely wild, and it goes to helping such amazing causes too. You know,
Yeah.
uh, we were talking a little bit behind the scenes in the green room here about what you're doing right now for some of the hurricane relief stuff.
Mm.
If you got any links or anything you want to drop, feel free to. If you want to talk about what you've been doing with that recently.
Yeah, so for those as I work at Direct Relief, contracted through them. Direct Relief is a humanitarian aid organization that helps, people in crisis or day to day. So we cover all 50 states. We have a medical license in all 50 states. So that means we're able to ship uh, hard medicines across the border. So as like insulin and all that stuff, we are able to take care of the COVID vaccine during the pandemic. So right now, there are big hurricanes happening. There's a big hurricane happening. There's one going on right now. There's a big. So what Direct Relief does is they get in there and reach out to the clinics because one of the most important things is hospitals and clinics. They get bogged down immediately when a natural disaster happens, and so what Direct Relief does is reach out to those community health networks to ensure that they have all the medicines and things that they need. With South Carolina or North South Carolina, one of the biggest ones was insulin. The way to make sure that we got out there for people, just because power went out, a lot of the insulin and stuff like that that people store in their house goes bad if it's
Yep.
if it's not cold for 8 hours or something like that. It's crazy. And then other additional medicines. And then Direct Relief also helps with infrastructure. So we help, with grants of rebuilding clinics that have been, decimated or anything like that, and making sure healthcare networks are, doing fine. And even beyond that, Direct Relief helps out with, not only infrastructure, but making sure, mental health is good with the Health Equity Fund. So there's quite a bit. If you want to find out like a bunch of different things that Direct Relief is doing, go to directrelief.org. There's so many programs that like it's hard to talk about all of them that Direct Relief does because there's so many passionate people that want to, ensure that like everyone's getting the help. We work with, the Native Americans a lot of the time and making sure that they're being helped like on their reservations and things. So it's really fascinating everything that Direct Relief does. But right now, yeah, we're in emergency mode. There's also a fire happening in Wyoming that a lot of people don't know about. Like, uh, which is crazy because we have a hurricane happening. So there's a lot going on at the moment in the world. It's unfortunate, but direct relief's there to assist in where it can.
See, that's kind of a question that I'd never considered before. That's like that you have awakened me. You have opened my eyes to something. How do you process? Because if you guys are in like a crisis management disaster relief situation, you hear about them all as they happen. I hadn't heard
Yeah,
about fires in Wyoming. How
yeah.
do you handle that information as it comes in? I feel
So
like it would just be dragging me down.
it does. It's quite. It's hard, but with you know DR, we're trying to do the best like that they can, and it's really sad. So like an instance of an event that happened while I was working, and I had to deal with it emotionally and all that stuff was Ukraine. So that happened the day before a Coliseum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the day before we were going live on one of our larger events, and I had to sit there in every meeting with direct relief to make sure I had the correct information, the correct like language, and that's what's the important thing to me. Like, yes, like the impact of like a disaster is very terrible, but it's making sure that I get the correct information that I'm telling everyone, and giving all that stuff. So being the middleman, but making sure it's understood from like medical terms, because I know it's very hard to when I talk to when I'm listening to the doctors at direct relief that are on staff that are talking to us about this stuff. I'm trying to make sure it's all understandable and easy to regurgitate back to people. It's really sad. It sucks, but the work that direct relief does really just makes it like, okay, I'm here to help it like make this a better situation. This time of year really sucks just because it's hurricane season into fire season. And so you do see a lot of devastation. I don't want to say it kind of like you kind of get used to it because you don't, but the seasons are coming. So there are a lot of things that help alleviate that, is where we have like, preparedness seasons and making sure we're doing all the correct things with our hurricane prep kits, because they're not always the same. Every year we change them out. So everyone's getting the correct things that they need. So there's a lot of ramp up. But mentally, yeah, it sucks. Like I can't, I'm devastated what's going on, that happened in North, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. It's insane what's going on in Florida right now. But I just know that the where I'm at, I'm able to do everything I can to assist as well and getting the word out. So
And that kind of balances some of it out. You can say the
it
bad
does,
stuff's
yeah.
coming in. I am doing everything I can. I am aware
Yeah,
that I am making a difference and helping.
and it's not only like the big things. Like Direct Relief is constantly sending out medicines to free healthcare clinics, like just free of charge, just nonstop. And then you think about it because you can look at the map on Direct Relief site of like healthcare clinics near you that like Direct Relief services, and you just see that, and it's just like, damn, like yes, like they're doing all this crazy stuff like Ukraine, and sending aid everywhere it can, with Gaza, like sending immediately. That was another big instance of like horrible things are happening.
Yeah.
But even at like the local level where you're at, you're seeing like kind of the impact, and so you just know like from the smallest scale to your region all the way up, like Direct Relief is there helping out as much as they can with free healthcare, or free not healthcare but free medicines and anything that they're needed.
I dig that. I dig that. I mean, that's a part of the reason that I got into helping with Zeldathon and the events that I'm trying to get more involved with in the first place is I want to be part of that positive difference. It's not
Mhm.
all because I wanted to meet Jackson. You know, I'm
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That was a big factor in the first place. Is getting to meet
Mhm.
some of these people that I've seen do amazing things. But
Mhm.
the more I started to see things that I do make a direct difference in some way or another, and that feeling,
Yeah.
it goes a long way. It's very fulfilling. It's very rewarding.
It
I have
is.
lucked out to connect with amazing people on the way.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I know I'm no longer part of Zeldathon, but I get to work with you on other projects and things like that. And it's really cool to have involved with it's been an interesting journey because I just I just left Zeldathon like
Yeah.
about a month or so ago, and that was like a 12-year thing for me. But helping, it's really my journey into joining Zeldathon was much different from a lot of people because I joined in blind.
Yeah.
I only knew MC's roommate at the time, and I was in a band, so I didn't know who MC was or anything like that. So I had no foundation of this community. But what I had was growing up and in high school and things like that. I was in ROTC, and I was doing a lot of charity things like helping the handicap bowl, or go bowling, ice skating. I did freaking free pasta days at churches and things like that. So I knew I wanted to be involved just because like I had this passion of always wanting to help people.
Yeah.
So my path was much different from a lot of people joining where I wasn't part of this community, but I found my way into it immediately just because I walked into MC's house one day for band practice. So, but it's really uh I love everyone's passion when they join a group that they want to make a difference. Even like for any reason they start, they find like this whole new passion of like wanting to help the world, and it's really cool evolution to see because it's happened with a lot of team members that I've worked with over time that they just wanted to be there, to have a good time with their friends, and then it just evolved immediately. Like it was like, oh shit, like I'm making a difference now.
You
I
get that
want to keep
taste of
doing
it.
that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
for real. For real. Um,
yeah.
that's actually something I've been bitten big by that, and
Mhm.
um, I keep joking that I want to do something like that with the game studio. I want to set up an event. I'll ask you. There are many people I can go to. I'll ask you if hypothetically I went completely off my rocker and I decided I want to make a charity event, all remote things, so I don't have to worry about logistics of a
Yeah.
place or anything. Where do I even start with that? I've seen a lot of the individual logistical, I've talked to people about how to put together a schedule. I've run a
Yeah.
tech desk. But at the very beginning, where do I even begin to put something like that together?
Well, you find the cause that you want to work with. I think that's the most important thing that resonates with you directly and the group that you want to work with. So it's what do you want to impact? Like what do you want to do? How do you want to help the world? So I think it starts there, and then no idea is too crazy as long as it's you're allowed to do it on it follows
Yeah.
TOS on Twitch.
No
Um,
hips.
yeah, just know finding something that you want to do and you want to impact, something that you're empowered to assist with, and then it just kind of falls in line from there. Anyone can create an event. It's not it seems daunting, and it's daunting when you work with a large group first instead of something smaller or starting up you know with nothing. So it's really hard to like take a step back when you have a lot of the knowledge. But it really is just going to Tiltify, finding out what charity you want to work with, and the resources are all out there. CharityNavigator.org. You can find out what charities you want to work with, and then you can reach out to that charity, get all the information, get a download packet of like images, videos if they have or anything like that, or reach out and then just build a team that's really passionate with you or reaching out to people like, hey, I'm doing this cool event over the weekend, and start small on how much you want to raise. I when I talk to first time fundraisers or people with not the largest viewership, they're
Yeah.
just starting out, I'll just say, hey, make everything obtainable. Like start with $100 goal. It doesn't have to be big. Zeldathon was not a huge thing when it first started. It was an MC's room. He just
Yeah.
went live because he saw someone else do it, like another group, and just wanted to do that too. So make everything obtainable because you can always make stretch things, and then think about how to improve the whole time. Like don't look at everything as like kind of like oh dang, this year we didn't do this, I didn't do what I wanted to do. It's just a learning experience, and you keep going. The A lot of people always say like, oh, I'm too late to start into like this fundraising thing, or building a large event. Like this is the wild west still. Like we are
Yeah.
still in the wild west period. I can tell you that 100% after working in this field since 2016, that like there are so many things like non-standard. Like there are some standards, but there's just it's so quickly evolving that like anyone can just still be involved and like still create something absolutely amazing and just keep growing from there. So it really just starts with finding the charity that like gives you that spark, and then just kind of going from there. Like, do you have a game series you like to work with? Do you have creators that you want to work with? Do you have just like some cool gimmick idea that you want to throw in? Do you just want to do fundraising and just talk about the event the whole time? Just finding whatever makes you passionate. I think it always starts with like the charity that you want to work with, because you're going to be more passionate instead of like, oh, I'm going to do it for St. Jude just because everyone else does. Like, no, the charities that I would want to raise for are much different from the like St. Jude or Charity Water. Like I'd want to work more at a local level, personally, if I was to do something like that. So yeah, it's just finding.
Yeah, hell with the children. Who cares? St. Jude can go. I'm kidding. I kid.
No, I love all the groups that I've worked with and the nonprofits I've worked with, and I've worked with a lot. And I love all the orgs that we've worked with at Zeldathon over the years. They've been picked by the directors and leadership staff and all that stuff over time, just because we all like found love in them. And that's why like each event kind of evolved around. And this was a while ago. We themed kind of more on what the charity was and that we were fundraising for, and theme it around that and work around it really, really well. So you find a lot of inspiration when you find the cause you want to raise for. So it all falls into place from my experience.
I dig that. So who do we want to raise money for, Fuzzy? Should we go with DR? We got some connections on the inside. I love what they do, and I love the fact that it's reactions to what's going on. I love every group we've had an opportunity to work with. The problem is I don't want to like reach out to Charity Water until we finish our pirate game, because there's your thematic thing. Although everyone I've met from working with them is fantastic.
Yeah, Charity Water has been absolutely amazing. They're a charity that and I could say this like in full confidence, a lot of charities, they don't understand the space, and Charity Water is one of those that understand the space, because they got very talented people in there really quickly. Because there's a lot of charities back when I first got into it, they were not about like the gaming scene at all. They would say, oh, that's gambling, because I don't know, non-gamers call gaming gambling. Weird topic. But yeah, they're just like, I don't care about slot machines or anything. It's like, or poker. Like, no. And Charity Water unfortunately was there. Like, they weren't like integrated yet. And this was early 2012, 2013, where they just didn't get it, and they were working more with celebrities. But they really changed when they got some great people in there to explain, because charities unfortunately are run a lot of the time by a lot of old people that have old ways of thinking about things. Like they're not 20, 30-year-old CEOs or anything like that for a lot of these large charities. They're a lot of 50s, 60s that know the specific ways to target the demographic they grew up with. So they have no idea about the online space. But Charity Water and a lot of other causes are like absolutely incredible right now with what they're doing with creators and understanding like what you want to do.
I dig it. Yeah, absolutely. Man, we're gonna make Hurdle Helps one of these days. I still don't know what it is, but we're gonna make it happen. If Twitch's #1 redhead can run BB for G, we can make one. If he can do it, I can do it.
No, there are so many creators out there that like low viewership, and they make the craziest impact, like because they'll just have their family and friends being involved, and it's always incredible to watch. So definitely, just if you have a passion for it, just do it. Just start it. Don't expect like it to be the biggest thing on earth, but say like, okay, year 2, let's make it better, and then year 3, and just keep it going. Or if you want this to be like every couple months you want to do something, and you just keep tweaking it, yeah, that's the way to do it.
Fair enough. So hey, you said earlier you're bad at video games. What have you been bad at recently? What have you been playing?
So I got back into kind of speed running, which has been a bad hobby of mine since 2011. So I started getting into when I have streamed, I've been doing randomizers just to kind of get back into like Resident Evil 1 and 2, which I used to speedrun, and then I did some Ocarina of Time stuff, which I also used to speedrun any percent. And then I'm thinking about getting back into Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and speedrunning that game. So those are the games that kind of been playing. I play my gotcha games too on the side, but right now it's those. I want to play a lot of new games that keep coming out. Like Dragon Ball Sparking is like coming out tomorrow officially. Diablo 4 just dropped, so I'm like, I can't buy any games right now. I want to play all these stupid old games, but
I
just
feel it.
speedrunning and just being really bad at that. That's what I've been doing.
I can dig that. I can dig that though. Definitely. Um, if you're not following Campy, by the way, let me throw a shout out in here. Please go follow, go subscribe,
Thank
go
you.
shower this person with some love. One of
Thank you.
my
I
favorite
appreciate
human beings. Um, you spent some time after the last event, after you're retiring from the director position as Zeldathon. You spent some time kind of unpacking some of that, decompressing a little bit.
it. Yeah.
And now that you've had a little bit of time away, what what's your takeaway now? You've had a little time to process. You've been away for a little bit. You've been busy, obviously, but
Yeah.
that hasn't been sitting as much at the top of your mind. How do you feel about it with that little bit of space?
I made the correct decision. I said this on my stream. I think it was inevitable, no matter what. Even if there weren't the circumstances, of being worn out and tired, I think it was still inevitable with all the work that I have coming up. Um, Zeldathon's a beast. It is a very large beast that is very hard to maintain, and when you work with something such like a legacy kind of programs and organizations such as Direct Relief, it's very hard to get any changes done meaningfully quickly. So it was always kind of like a back and forth, and it's kind of freeing. The biggest thing is I am excited to reconnect with a lot of people on a friendship level instead of like they feel like there was this power dynamic level, which there to me there never was, but I understand that some people would see it that way, where it's just like, oh well, he's an organizer of this event. I have to treat him a little differently. And they're like, no, 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 no.
No.
So it's exciting to, kind of go forward on that to, re reintegrate with a lot more friendships and things like that, which it's been going well. I have a lot of new events on the horizon, so that's where it's kind of like the inevitability was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like we have an unannounced Coliseum that's coming quick. We have a potential another one. We have an announcement for a Coliseum that's in December, and that's also very quick. And then a lot of charities have reached out directly to me that want to, create new products. I have a product I'm working on with MC at the moment, and
I know
that'll
about
be
that
announced
one.
soon. And I have a couple other things. So it's it was bound to happen. I knew it was going to happen someday, but I think like this year was the year it was going to happen, if anything.
Yeah.
I don't hold any kind of, hostility still or animosity from leaving because like there's growing pains. But I feel good. I feel a lot lighter. I don't feel a lot of dread.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's like the biggest thing because when you work with a large team, that's passionate as well, that everyone has their own idea, it's very hard because a lot of people take things like more personally or anything like that, though they don't look at things the same way you do, so it gets very like hard and tiring, and you get stress on your shoulders and it hurts your back, and then you're just dying all the time when you're talking. So it's been a big relief for me. I know MC as well, he's been streaming and he's been doing good. Liz is like taking the nice break as well.
Yeah.
And I know a couple other people left, Zellathon at the same time, but for me it's been a nice like breath of fresh air because it's something I've known for 12 years, and it's only gotten like harder and harder to maintain. So it's it feels good.
I was going to say a couple of our mutual friends have kind of stepped back a little bit too, and that seems to be a common thing is we're all growing, and it's
Mhm.
not necessarily the same direction. And it's never, well, okay, I don't think it is. Nobody I know has said it is a personal thing. It is
Yeah.
a development thing. We're going different directions. I want
Mhm.
to see you guys succeed. I want to succeed. We're not going to do it by doing disparate things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that like over the year, and that was another big thing is, over the years I've lost a lot. Like, there's a lot of people that have left that I was very close to and very good friends with that are no longer a part of Zeldathon. And like the aspect when I first joined, where it was like a big group, and when I looked at last Zeldathon when I was there, Metal and Smoople were the longest standing
yeah,
members that were there besides MC, and they joined around the same time I did. So that was a really strange concept
yeah,
that like there were not a lot of like people that were there from the beginning or even when I joined a couple years later. Like it was definitely like, okay, like the scenarios changed for me as well. Like I have a lot of friends there, but a lot of the friends that I, you know, grew up with
yeah.
being there are no longer there, and that's just, you know, to me that's sad. It was unfortunate that, like, you know, and that's where it's just like everyone's moving on. Is it time for us to move on? And the answer was yes. Like we knew it, like we knew it in our hearts. Like I knew it back in January. Like I was out.
Oh yeah,
But I just
yeah.
wanted it to, you know, make sure the St. Jude event worked off really well, and it did. I was really proud facilitating the great relationship we had with St. Jude. So I'm
Ye-
really glad I got to do the last things that I'm really good at
I,
with
I
Zeldathon.
I
And
was gonna say that, like, if my understanding of what everyone said is correct, Zeldathon is maybe not directly responsible, but very much a key factor in Play Live in general,
oh yeah,
in
it
St. Jude's efforts.
100%
Yeah,
is. It is 100. So with the first, because we direct or Zeldathon never does a back to back, you know, charity
yeah,
like event for the same cause, and we did one for St. Jude, and I think it was a $45,000 or $50,000 event, around there. Um, St. Jude reached out and was just like, "Hey, can you do this again? We want to make this a case study." And they did, and we did a fundraiser again. We showed that like, hey, and this time we grew and raised a lot more money. So we were a large case study for the Play Life program, and that's where our first partnership really kind of blossomed. Because, like I was saying earlier, back then it was really hard to partner with charities. Like asking anything, like we were asking just for like, hey, can you like give us pizza one night? And that's it. Like we weren't asking for like anything monetarily. It's like, hey, buy us food because we're all broke. And they would just be like, nope. But St. Jude was really the first one that like saw, believed in everything that, you know, we were doing. So it was a really cool beneficial moment. And you know, it's 10 years since the first collaboration with, you know, Zeldathon and, you know, St. Jude, but also, you know, the 10-year anniversary of Play Live, which was started. So
it's pretty
there's a
cool.
lot of history there.
It's pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, man. I'm still like lost in my own head thinking about it too. Like I gotta do this. I gotta do this. Maybe someday I'll grow out a Zeldathon. Haha, just kidding, just kidding. I'm never going anywhere, I swear. Yeah, that's something I've kind of seen too. Is like I'm still there. I love my position. I love my
Mhm.
experience and the people I'm working with. But the way leadership had been structured, I feel like was designed to burn through people. And it was an accident of how the organization grew, you know?
Yeah.
And
No, I agree with that. There was we were all young, we're all stupid when we
yeah.
first started it, and we were trying to be professionals when we were like, I'm still trying to be a professional and I'm not.
Oh, yeah, I
Like
feel oh brother, I feel that, trust me.
so when you have a lot of talented, you know, caring, you know, young people all in the same room, and then maybe like two or three adults in the room, it's a recipe for disaster. Um and we've tried many different ways of, you know, handling, you know, how to grow appropriately and instead of and not grow wide and kind of grow more narrow, but like it just never, there was never a path that was correctly found, just because everyone's a volunteer. Like I never got paid as a director. I got nothing. The only
Yeah.
benefit I got was one time when I had to keep going to our hotel because the internet wasn't working. I had to show up like 9 days in a row, and they just comped my room. That was like the only benefit from Zelthon I've ever gotten. Like monetarily, was my room was comped for the whole event.
Yeah.
So when you're working with volunteers, and then you put a lot of trust in a lot of people into hey, we need this project done within 6 months. Are you able to do it? And they're like, yep. So how do you balance telling a volunteer like, hey, we need this done when we're like, banking on this whole project, and then just being like trying to be, thoughtful and nice, being like, oh, you're a volunteer, but like, hey, you made this commitment. So it's a really hard balance, and that's where we've burned through a lot of people, because a lot of people took on too many tasks at once.
Not to call out
And
Stone
burned
by
themselves
name or
out.
anything, but
No, this is well beyond you. Like we have gone through so many devs at the time, it was crazy. We've gone through so many team members and so many different things just because the burnout is real, and it happened very quickly. And that's why I'm very protective of people. When I see people getting burnt out or like the potential, I'm like, slow down.
see, when you do
don't have
that to me, I
Yeah.
get it, because I'm over here doing that to Stone Money. I'm like, you are
Yeah.
doing literally everything for literally everyone. Breathe,
Yeah.
dude, breathe. By the way,
Yeah.
here I've gone over your resume. Here's a couple places to send it. Because how was he looking for work? How is that son of a bitch looking for work?
I don't know. I know he's always looking. We'll see. I know, like we have him. We bring him on every project that we're working on,
Yeah,
and we try to help out. But I don't know. Like he's super talented. I think
Yeah.
it's like I think he's ahead of the game for a lot of people, and they don't see like the impact that the work that that's going on in the charity space. So I think like what he needs is, I think he needs his own like small company kind of thing going on, like an LLC or something, where the proof's in the pudding. Instead of like him being a small contractor, then he can
Yeah.
compile everything correctly. It looks
This
like,
is
here's my company that I do this thing.
all
Here are
under
the
my
orgs that I work
consultancy.
with.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
dig
instead
that.
of just being like, oh, I take odd and end jobs, like like this. Like if he compiles it all, I think it's gonna help out quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. We're
Yeah, Zeldathon burnout's real. Like or charity event burnout's real, but the Zeldathon one is absolutely real. Like, whew, boy howdy. Like there's a lot of events that I just wanted to walk away and never come back. Just like go into the desert and just keep walking and just never come back, just because I was so tired.
I've hit moments like they're rare. It's not like a whole event thing for me, and part of that's
Yeah.
because of the lower load that I carry. But I've hit moments where like a thing has completed, it has run to completion, and then I go outside and I stand underneath the stairs and I debate for 4 hours if I'm going back in the damn building or not. You know?
Yeah.
And
No,
I
it's very stressful now, and I that's like one big thing. Like I made it a point when I talked to the whole team of just about me. My final words was just like, be kind to one another.
yeah.
Like you have an empty slate right now. Go forward with this. Like this is a fresh start for literally everyone. Like do not hold baggage on anything, because it is stressful to do anything like that. It's a lot of work for no return. Like there's no return that you're getting out of this besides feeling good.
Yeah.
And if like that fuels you, great, that's awesome. But like you're running in the negative when you're working with Zellathon. Like you're in the hole.
Yeah. No.
And if your love for the game, for the space and all that stuff, like outweighs that, congratulations, you're doing something good. If it's not, then maybe you shouldn't be investing all this time and energy into it if you're that stressed out.
My very first like event experience was checking into the hotel Saturn. I don't think we're going back, but I still don't want to dox it anyway, just in case.
Yeah.
Trying to check into the hotel there, and I didn't have enough on my bank card for the deposit because they hold the amount of the event plus like $300. I'm making phone calls to round up the rest of the money so I can just check into the damn place. And Jackson comes up and slaps me on the back, and that was my first meeting him. And that was amazing because I'm on the phone with Aunt BJ and Jackson comes up. He's hey, he's like, I want to be excited to see you, but I just drove like 8 hours and now I have to round up a couple $100 over the phone. Give me 5 minutes and then I'll come worship you. You know?
Yeah. No, it's everyone has like their first experience at like Zeldathon of uh, uh like anything from when it happens. Like when we started going into hotels, like I was hella broke. My first the first couple of Zeldathons I was at, no one had money.
Yeah.
So like we were just like, hey, I found $1. Let's go to Sheets and get like 2-for-1 hot dogs, or like, yo, Mars is working at Cinnabon. Mars is bringing Cinnabon and pretzels, so that's all we eat all weekend. Oh, someone made mac and cheese sick. So it's just like the struggle bus. And then like our first hotel, like I just slept on the floor in a random room. Like at that time I was working at GameStop as a manager. I couldn't even make enough money to get a hotel room. It was crazy. So like everyone's first experience is always interesting when you're at a Zeldathon because like Zeldathon's very expensive to get to,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it is.
It's very expensive to get to.
That's one of the reasons I keep trying to figure out how to get Fuzzy on the team. I don't even know the process to get a new team member, but I'm trying to bring Fuzzy on for development. So like that way, when I'm dropping that much for the hotel room, at least I have another body in it. You know, let's make it go a little further.
Yeah, no, I've been paying. A lot of people will like hear the number that I'm spending when I go to Zeldathon, and then they don't realize that it was like twice a year. It's like on average $3,000 to $4,000 that like myself.
Yep.
And I pay for the room myself. I would room Jackson, who wouldn't pay for anything because I'd pay for him to be there. And I was just like, man, like $6,000 a year. That's kind of expensive.
little bit.
My wallet's really happy right now that I'm no longer having to make the trip, especially being on the West Coast now, flying over, and all that fun stuff. Bringing my cameras, which is an expensive like endeavor as well. So.
Yeah, airing a little bit of personal business here. I should probably keep my mouth shut about, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is I have this compulsion to do nice things for the people I like, and I overdo it. I always, constantly. It is one of my greatest strengths and weaknesses at the same time. After 4 events, this is the first time I've let Amaya pay me back for half the hotel room. Because I fought her every other time, but I'm like, okay, this has finally gotten to the point where I can't. I want to, but I can't tell you no. I will not refuse. I want to, but I won't.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's very hard because I would run into that issue quite a bit, especially at Zeldathon. Like, there are many friends that have come that I would just give just straight up cash. Be like, oh, you have no food for the week? Here's $200. Hopefully, it makes it work, or like multiple people. So I feel you. It's to a detriment a lot of the time of helping. But I'm glad you stepped up and asked and it worked out. Like, it's great. Like, keep doing that. Keep asking. With the whole process of getting people into Zeldathon, don't know. I don't know anymore. But how I know normally how Clinkit looks at things is like, how beneficial are they going to be, like with the team and everything like that. And are they passionate about it? Those are kind of like the big things. I know another big thing is she wants a really diverse team. That's what she's always wanted. So I'll just say, like, have an open conversation with her. I know it's like really fresh, so don't know what the plans on new events are, but openly talk about it, and just like, hey, I think this person definitely assist us in a great positive way. Let's get them on the team as online at first, and being remote and kind of going from there. Because how we used to do it was, we used to do like kind of the friend of a friend method. MC and I would, meet with some of the people. Obviously, it changed over time, but like friend of a friends we'd meet with, or go to an event, make sure person's chill, chat with them, hang out with them, and let them come in. It's I guess it's like talk to Clinkit on how what the new process is, because it's a new process now. But she's very understanding. She's always looking for talented people. I know that's like her number one thing is people that want to work and volunteer their time and energy, and also have a passion and the same passion she has, or even greater sometimes.
Yeah. See, the process definitely did change over time because when they did the open posting for the Deb lead, which is where I ended up, we had like the formal interview, and then I had to pay the director bribes and everything before it went through. Okay, there was no bribe involved. I'm sorry.
There
I'm
was
just
no
trying.
bribe.
There was no bribe.
We got no money. I got no money out of this.
I mean, we were just talking about being broke, so yeah, none of us have any money. That's another thing. It's going to sound kind of dumb, but a good takeaway from this is surround yourself with people that are as kind to others as you are. Because if you lift up the people around you and they lift you up when you need it, you're all going up. You're all going up.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of like my whole point when I left was just like, please be kind to one another. Like, please let the baggage go, because there is a lot of baggage with a 15-year-old organization. There's a lot of stuff like that, and resetting yourself and starting off fresh is a very good thing for a lot of people. And working with fantastic people that also want to do good is really good. So like surrounding yourself with like people that you'd want to hang out with on a daily basis is such a great way of looking at it. And that's what we definitely tried to do at Zealthon a lot of the time, was surrounding ourselves with people we wanted to work with and that had a lot of the same passions. And that's why we have there's a solid team. There's a very solid base there. There's so many people that I don't even know. Like last marathon was one where I was like, there are so many new people I've never seen in my life or heard of. Like they were just, some people were just in the the chill room nonstop that I never, not even one word, but like they were there doing their part, and I was like, that's awesome. Like I don't have to know everyone to know that that marathon's functioning, because they care just as much as I do.
So what you're saying is, if I could like fake the badge, I could get in there and nobody would notice that I didn't actually belong to anybody, and make it a game, see how long I could just exist before someone's like, wait a minute, who are you?
No, maybe not now. Maybe back then you could, because there's points I grabbed someone's badge, I was like, I've never heard of you, and then I'll go and walk, like, who's this person? And then someone would explain. But back then it could work out. I don't know about now. Who knows? Good luck with that one.
I mean, I'm just saying, I always get the preview images when the new badges come out. Dark drops them in the server. I've got one right away. I made one for the last event that said nothing on it. MC said he wanted a version of the badge that said nothing instead of like attendee or spectator.
Yeah.
So I made one that had nothing written on it, and I printed one for myself because I could know myself.
Definitely just reach out to Clinkit, reach out with the new org, and see what the play is. Like I guess I've been out. I've been lost in the sauce. I've been out of the game. I'm doing my own thing.
You're over there, checking the Yu-Gi-Oh ban list, making sure everything's still on the up and up.
It's never good. It's bad times.
Yeah.
Every ban list is bad times. I'm playing One Piece. It's a better game right now until they do something crazy, which I'm not excited for. So, the Eternal Struggle.
No, that's Vampire.
The Eternal Struggle. That is Vampire. The Eternal
Struggle. White Wolf Games. Yay.
Yeah.
Man, that's one they need to bring back. Okay, I'm an old like CCG head, and I played back when it was still called Jihad before they changed the name, but the vampire card game. That's one that needs to come back. That was a really well done game with a really nice mechanic.
I played it back in 2009. Because the store I used to go to was like super, the owner like really tried to push it. So we used to have a ladder system. And it would show off like the best player in the store for Yu-Gi-Oh! And there would just be like you have to like beat, certain people to get part of it. And then like you have to like win tournaments and all that stuff. But the owner would do like the first point is like, to be involved on the thing, you have to be good at other card games. So they had to we had to play a bunch of different stuff, and we couldn't just play Yu-Gi-Oh! So he made us good at like every card game before we could even like be on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Ladder that they created.
That is weirdly interesting, but super cool. I mean, it's a pain, but it's a super cool concept at least.
Yeah. It was weird. But he got me hooked into other card games. I played Magic for a little bit. Hate that game, but I still play it. It's the worst game I've ever played. But because of him, I play it. That was like 2008. So
I dig it. Man, we got so many questions for you sooner or later because we're working on a game that has a deck builder element, and I have like a bunch of what mechanics do you love and what mechanics do you hate CCG questions for you.
there is a deck builder game. Let me pull it up that I actually really enjoyed with ROM Scout. Let me find it on my Steam list. Oh, that's the horny one. I don't care about that one.
Have you seen or watched any of the people playing that new TCG shop simulator?
Oh, I'm playing it. I pulled a $16,000 card.
Ooh. Oh, nice.
I'm in the trenches there too. I'll boot it up and hire some people to do the stuff. And I'm just cracking packs. I actually did I went onto I opened Cheat Engine to find out the time of day speed and change that so my pack opening speed's even faster. So I'm just nonstop cracking cases.
Nice.
It's fun. That game is crazy. What's the game?
I keep looking at it. It's like, oh, I could justify this as research for a deck, but like, no. This is just scratchers the thing.
Well, they're implementing. They want to implement it to be a card game. The cards actually do stuff, they're the most bullshit cards I've ever read. Like, there's a card that says destroy a card on the opponent's field, draw 3 cards, and it's like a fucking 5,000 attacker thing. I'm like, bro, what do you mean? Like, that's busted.
That's OP as hell.
Star Realms, deck builder. It's really fun. It's an actual physical game you can buy packs and stuff out of, but there is a Steam version you can buy DLCs, and it's really fun. Like, you can create scenarios and all that stuff, but it's called Star Realms. Had a great time playing with ROM Scout on it quite a bit.
You might have to pick that one up.
Game.
Research.
I definitely recommend it to check it out.
I've joked a handful of times that one of the benefits of running our own small game studio is I have a budget set aside for research specifically to buy video games and be like, oh, let's do that.
Yeah, and it's a nice write-off.
Yeah.
And then the best thing is if you stream it, it's a write-off anyway.
Yup. That is 100% truth. 100% truth.
Oh yeah, no, like when I open packs or anything, like I have this whole thing over here to open TCG stuff, and I'm just gonna my next box, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stream it. Nice write-off. I have $1,000 case coming in of cards that I have to open 24 boxes. I'm gonna stream that whole thing.
Oh man,
that's gonna be a sick task write-off for next year.
I am so excited to watch that too.
$1,000 freaking dollars. Like, that's, I haven't done that in 6 years. I haven't bought case, so I'm excited. It'll be fun.
The $2 pack pulls, make your own charity event out of it. See, now we're full circle. It's genius, though, isn't it? It's genius.
It very much is. Yeah, no, I love card games, and deck builders are, I don't play them often, but when I find one I really enjoy, there's a lot of them right now. So a lot of IPs have them. Dark Souls has a deck builder. Resident Evil has a deck builder game. Physical ones. But the one I really liked was Star Realms, and it caught my attention just because there's a lot of crazy expansions you can do and a lot of scenario building. So I'll definitely check that out. But it's really, really fun, and you can do some wacky stuff in it.
I do enjoy the wacky stuff.
This game is old.
It is very old.
Oh, good. That means it's been polished. I hope.
The physical game is really fun, but I don't know. It doesn't look great. It's not the best looking game, but there's a lot of cool combos.
Oh, it looks fine.
Oh, I'm just used to now how UI with Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game is really stepped up and stuff like that. So
people's expectations of what a digital version of a card game 8 years ago was very different. Programs in general 8 years ago were very different.
Oh yeah, no, but they've come out with DLCs. That's the thing. This game has been updated and come out with
Yeah, I
DLCs.
see.
Yeah, and like they
Showing
still
5 of 21.
yeah, don't need all of them. I think I have like one DLC. One or I think I have like the base set and maybe bases and battleships. I can't remember. But you can actually, like, if you go to like a board game store, you'll just find these packs just there, and you could just do the deck builder like in person. So it's really cool.
That's
I always
something else. That's the other reason we wanted to do that deck building game is we've toyed around with the idea of going the other route, is turning our digital game into a physical game, opposed to like
Yeah.
taking a physical game and turn digital. Like we wanted to we were going to do it with Can Do originally, and then we're
Mhm.
like, there was weird licensing with the asset pack, and like you can make electronic stuff, you can't make physical stuff. It was to prevent, and we're like, yeah, we don't want to fight with that, but we were gonna like, we have all the rights to all these cafe people. We
Yeah.
could make a card game out of it. Not out of the same game, but a similar.
Mhm.
Here's the IP, here's the assets and love, and the
Yeah, yeah.
characters, and make a physical game. It's just another way to make, sell it directly, or card maker shop, or like not put in stores, but
What would be really cool, and this is I was talking to a couple like game devs that I'm friends with, is like right now there's a big there's a boon in the platform fighting game sector with gaming. Like, so Super Smash Brothers is a platform fighter. There's a lot of games that are coming out like that, and there's another one coming out of this dev that made Melee Online. And the one thing a lot of people have been talking and say that they would love is what's it called? I'm just blanked. But like non-trademark characters that you could use. What is it called?
public domain.
Public domain. Building a game with just public domain characters would be so sick. Like, just having a wacky game with a bunch of public domains and building off of that would be so cool. And I think like people should do that.
Okay, but like Winnie the Pooh, like Disney has their trademarked version, but as a character, Winnie the Pooh is now available. They did
Yeah,
the
like, you
the,
can't-
the
you can't
horror
use
movie, the red
Yeah.
shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do like the red
Blood
shirt,
and
but
honey.
like I would 100% look at like all the public domain stuff
Yup.
you can and make a dopest public domain, like, and just go with it, because then you can just have like wacky themes on a lot of stuff. Like one of my favorite like games that I play, like this case that I'm getting of cards called White Schwartz. And there's another game series coming out, Union Arena, that just came out. And how you play the game is you build it a series, so you can't like mix and match cards from a bunch of different things. You're building your deck based off of like these specific like shows, which I really really like.
Yeah.
But I think like doing public domain things would be so funny, because then you can create like a whole like layer thing. Like, what was it, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter kind of thing,
Yeah.
like happen, like do
Yeah.
stuff like that. That would be so sick.
I love it, man. I love it.
And the best part is that pool that you get to pick from
It
is only going to
just
get bigger,
gets bigger.
because we're right on the edge of, like, Winnie the Pooh is like the leading vanguard edge of a whole bunch of well-known characters are going to start slow, like that glacier of content is going to move into public domain.
Yeah.
I think something like the next 10 years is going to be like nuts for public domain books, and like the original Disney movies from 1953.
Yeah.
They're all, that whole block is sliding out as we encroach on. It's like there's going to be, like, when the 30s hit public domain,
It's
holy
gonna
shit.
blow up. It's
Yeah,
gonna
all the
blow up.
rubber hose stuff is gonna be
Yeah.
like crazy. Because like there's a lot of it right now that's there, but like Disney's holding freaking straws right now to try to make sure some of it doesn't. But
It's
yeah,
wild to
public
see them
domain
fighting
stuff,
for
I think
it. Yeah.
public domain games would be really funny if you don't go for the gimmick that's horror.
Yeah.
Because horror is so stupid.
It
Like,
is, and it's so saturated right now, man.
Yeah, I think the last like horror theme thing that I really enjoyed, that was mimicking Disney aspect was Bendy and the Ink Machine.
Yeah.
Which the art style really carried that game, but it was very much like an Amnesia kind of clone. But since then, there hasn't really been, anything good. Everyone's first thing is just like, oh, this is public domain. Let's make it a fucking horror game or a horror movie.
Okay.
Like, I don't care.
This would get sued out of the water like crazy. But I have a horrible idea.
What you got?
Okay.
Five Nights at the Museum, and instead of Chuck E. Cheese knockoff, they're all American President Robotronics.
Hell yeah.
No, hold up, man. Hold up. We might be able to get away with that one.
No, you can, because like there's so many Five Nights clones and like all the codes out there to do it. Like, just do it. And make it a Night at the Museum kind of thing. That'd be really funny. Yeah,
like it's basically a cross between Night at the Museum and Five Nights at Freddy's, and just like
I'm into it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, that'd be funny. That'd be really, really funny. Where you just like have, like every night opens like a specific, president that can come, and then like all their quotes, like you just grab like their snippets of quotes that they've said over the years, and then they get you with like tax increases.
Oh man,
it's like, oh dang,
oh, man,
I got hit with a $50 billion stimulus payback. No, I yeah, like I said, I think like because there's a game, I think it's called Steam. Steampunk.
I've heard of Steam.
Yeah, no, it's like an RTS, but like Abraham Lincoln's in it with the Wizard of Oz characters and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Oh man,
this is crazy. A Project Steam or Steampunk. There's a 3DS game.
Yeah, I have to look into it. Speaking of which, we're at about the halfway point, so we're going to take a 5-minute break so you can get up, stretch your legs, hit the restroom, do whatever you need to. Go freshen your beverage, whatever, but don't go anywhere for too long. We will be back in right about 5 minutes.
Coolio.
Hello and welcome back to the Blue House Bull Session. Here with you on this wonderful Wednesday, bulling with our good friends Campy DK and Uber Fuzzy. I'm still Jay. You know that. You're here. You know why you're here. I hope you got a chance to get up, stretch your legs a little bit. I want to say, and I will say this publicly to everybody, my button worked. I got a Stream Deck a couple months ago, and I'm finally getting around to setting it up to actually do useful things. And that ad break is a button I press, and it does all the things for me. And that made me so happy. I'm so just like pat myself on the back, proud of myself for finally getting that to work.
MC did that recently, where when he was coming out to Kaizo Coliseum, he always wanted like an automated system to do everything in one button press, and he figured it out. And so at Kaizo, it would like mute all the things, then move over. Like there's a whole automated process to like switch scenes, so it's not like 8 different things you had to do. It was just one button press, and it was awesome. Like he was so happy. So
he just did a stream
now. Buttons.
He just did a stream yesterday where he was talking about Stream Tech, and I popped in to ask him about that. I'm like, I'm figuring out what do I do often enough that I should have a button for it. And his thing was automation, and he mentioned a bunch of the tools he's using to do it. And now I need to go back and look them up. So I'm going to wait for his VOD to come out so I can go back and take notes. But he's 100% right with that. Take all the pieces of your stream that you don't need to do manually and stick them on a button. Like make it so that the process doesn't get in the way of doing what you're doing with stream.
Yeah. I know Jiggy, he uses the same mouse I have to hotkey all of his buttons to the side of his mouse to do all of his screen transitions, which is funny.
Yeah, he's got his cameras mapped to the side of his mouse, and it's like, I love that.
Yeah, the Naga, dude. It's the greatest thing. It's 12 buttons.
Oh,
the
man.
Best mouse on planet Earth.
My mouse is a train wreck. It's bad. Like, I went on Amazon when I was getting my keyboard, and I'm like, well, what are my requirements? It's pink and it's mechanical. If it lights up, that's a bonus. And it shipped with the mouse, so I just used that.
Nice. You know, I've been MMO pilled since like 2008. So I've been playing I played World of Warcraft. I don't want to say professionally, but my guild definitely gave me money and paid for my subscription. So I can call it professionally.
You can.
I got money.
You can.
While playing. And so like I did hardcore raiding. So like I've been stuck to the same mouse like style for the past 15 years, I feel. And then like if I don't have 12 buttons on the side, like I'm gonna lose my mind.
On the same way with my keyboard, I had one of those old Logitech G15s with like the screen and like all the extra buttons. And when that eventually died, I had to find like I've got 18 macro keys here on the left side of my keyboard, and then 3 banks to switch those. Basically the same way you're using the mouse. It's like I operate my entire life like based on these keys, and I know which just stuff that I do. And like when that keyboard died, I'm like, I don't know how to go back and not have those keys.
Yeah.
I mean, he's coming from PS2 as well.
Yeah.
So
there was a keyboard that I had. It was really cool. Razer made it, and it was a full keyboard. But on the right side had a touchpad, LED buttons that you can program, but you were able to switch to that touchpad for precision. And I used that for certain games to get like my aim precise, and then I'd go back to the mouse. I used that until it blew up, and then I was like, I just need to go back to a normal keyboard. So I'm just back on I'm on a fancy kind of keyboard right now, where I got like my quiet red switches, so nothing's clickety clackety. And then there's another keyboard I'm getting called the Wooting, and it's a cheater keyboard.
Ooh.
Yep.
And you can mess with the actuation presses, and you can cheat. You can cheat.
Yep.
And I'm going to get that keyboard because you can cheat.
I'm into that. I think I might have to keep an eye out for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you could change the actuation. So like if you're playing like a rhythm game like Osu, you can just rapidly press without full presses. So you can just spam as fast as you can without full presses. Mm-hmm. It's cheater.
I love it.
It's a cheater controller or a keyboard.
At that point, it is a controller. It just has, a full keyboard's worth of buttons. At that point, it's a controller, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they just had to ban a function off of it for Counter-Strike 2.
Yep.
Where you were able to do 2 different inputs at the same time for directional control. So you're able to do like your side fucking steps. Scary.
Man. I love it. Oh. Some of the speedrun tech too, like when things like that are required, you see it more in tasks than you do in real-time streaming, although a lot of that's getting into it, and I just love seeing those and thinking to myself, like, from the other side, from the development side, how are they checking things that it did that? What are they doing that made that glitch happen? Who overlooked what for the BLJ,
Yeah, so when I was like heavily into kind of speedrunning, I used to like just mess around and break stuff. But there was a game that came out that was really, really funny. It came out, I think, on PlayStation and Xbox originally, but it's called Vampire, like like Empire, but Vampire. And you start off as a dude and gets infected, blah blah blah, and it's kind of like an infamous thing. Like if you kill more people, the city becomes like, gross and rats are infesting, or you can, the more you impact, other things. But PlayStation's got a funny thing since I think the PlayStation 3, you can plug in a keyboard and mouse and it works because they used to have like the original browser.
Yeah.
So we used to mess around with that in Counter-Strike Go on PlayStation 3. So when this game came out, I was like, oh, I'm interested in it. And I like playing games on 1.0 because I love seeing how broken they get. So it was found that if you plugged in a keyboard after the first 4 minutes and you pressed T, it gave you everything in the game. You just unlocked everything. You had every skill, unlimited blood. It was a dev bug thing that they just had that was immediately shipped in the base game that you pressed T and you were able to get every ability. It was so funny. And we're like, don't tell anyone. Like, we're trying to keep it under wraps, and then they've patched it because someone put out a video and was just like, hey, devs, you really messed up with this. I'm like, no, this was awesome. No, I can't do this anymore on console. Like, we found like out of bounds stuff, like where you're able to clip really easily because of certain abilities, but now you can't do it. I love breaking games. I broke my friend's game recently that he's building. Like frame 1, I broke it because like he's like, well, you didn't follow the instructions. I was like, yeah, no one follows the instructions on games. Like, that's the point.
No, for real. We run into a lot of that. We had Lana Ruse, you know Lana. Was playing Let's Cafe, and we've got Twitch integration turned on, so like people in chat can order food and blah blah blah. They show up in your cafe when you're streaming, and there's a way that you can like leave tips. You can throw money out of your tip jar, or throw money into the tip jar for whoever's streaming. And I had it backwards because I'm bad at programming. So you would tip.
It wasn't the tips. It wasn't the tips. It was the gifting between the viewers.
No, it was definitely tips, but it's the same thing. Because, like, it wouldn't subtract the money from you.
No, the money, you could give money in between players, and that's where we didn't. It would give the money to, I give, /give Campy 500, and it would increment your money by 500, and then when it went to go decrement my money by 500, because that's how money works, it also gave me 500 because we missed a -1.
People like have crazy amounts of money now from that single Lana Roost. Jamie's got like
and then
$3 trillion from
and then they tipped her, so her save files got like multi-billion, like billions of billions. Like we're like
cookie clicker numbers.
Did you hit the E?
Yeah. no, that's the thing is we're sitting. I'm like, I'm sitting there watching. And I'm like, okay. When is it going to crash because it gets a number too big? B, is the rendering of that number going to flip over to, scientific notation at some point because it's going to start rounding it because like internally it's like, well, we can't do a number that big and you probably mean this, so we're just going to truncate it. We'll keep it, but it'll like the 2 string, we'll turn into this. No, it just kept going and kept doing
That's
it
awesome.
and just the money just kept going off the right side, just like
number go up. Yeah.
It's awesome. Failing good.
Yeah. Operation failed successfully. It's doing the wrong thing the right way.
That's one of my favorite things is seeing if there's like an underflow with games.
Mhm.
Yep.
There was a game that was never released on the SNES that I was like messing around with. Steven Seagal back at it again, beating the shit out of you game. And you can just spam knives at a wall and they just stay there and you can underflow it, so like you can jump into it and then just get out of bounds because there's so many objects there. The game's boundaries just don't work because there's just too much there and it just underflows and then you can crash the game. That is really funny.
That is amazing. We are bringing Campy on the team. We need him on our testing team 100%.
Helldivers had that problem for a while with the grenades.
Yeah.
Because if you would like throw the grenade and it would reduce your increment by 1. But also, like, if you held the button, they didn't do the decrement until it was some glitch. You could effectively have 2 grenades in state, like in flight. Yeah. And they had a check for, like, hey, if you have 0, don't throw it. But they didn't have a check that they didn't have a less than 0. So if you could do this thing to have 2 grenades in flight, they would decrement twice, give you -1, and you could keep throwing because they only checked if you were at 0. And so once you broke into negative, you could just boop, 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 just throw them without. Yeah. And it was just like, well, that's 1,000% broken.
No, that was like one of my favorite things with grenades was in World of Warcraft, and it was on the final big raid. They did a raid after. It was fighting the Lich King. Very hard fight. There's a platform. Some wrath. Yeah. So like there's a platform, he'll break it, falls down. Everyone has to get close. He does all this crazy stuff, but the platform shrinks. But there was a grenade that engineers were able to do that if they did it at the same time while that was happening, the platform never disappeared. It just stayed there. So you just skipped a whole mechanic. People got in trouble. Maybe your boy got hit when he found out about this and got a temporary ban, but it was really funny. And there was this, like, they had so many problems with grenades because there was a conquest kind of thing, like a PvP area, Wintergrasp, that you're able to bum rush. And when they implemented the mode, they're like, oh, grenades will do set amount of damage. It's not a ton, but people would bum rush all the way to the end, grenade it, and win in like 2 seconds.
Nice.
So they had to like completely nerf it immediately because they didn't think like 25 people dropping grenades at the same time would do anything.
Oh, that's classy. I'm into that.
Yeah, I love breaking games like that. That's one of my favorite pastimes is breaking games.
There was a fight in EverQuest 2 that it was. The problem with MMOs is time goes on, number gets bigger, right?
Yeah.
And they have to make sure like things scale. And so they knew like eventually this game will get bigger. So they started making bosses like way early at time. Like this boss will scale dynamically to whatever the level cap is. So you can go back and do basically making all the old content just permanently evergreen. You know, cap's now 50, cool. It'll be 50. Cap's now 100, cool. It'll scale up. But the NPC would spawn and he was like a normal guy. And then he would, you know, do his thing and then go roar and enrage, and that's when it would scale to whatever the current level cap was. Well, when he would start, he was still coded as the like level 50 because that was what the cap was. Then he turned into the level 50 dragon or whatever. They only applied the HP scaling to the dragon form.
So if you could kill him
before he enraged, and you just went, if you could do enough burst damage right at the start, you could kill him. And as the level 50, walk in there with, you know, level 120, just like, bam, and kill him. And you got level 120 treasure because the treasure pool, though, and
was counted as scaled,
pulled off of current scaled, you know, whatever the current tier of loot was. So you could just go, well, bam, get him. Well, bam, get, and just.
That's
awesome.
That's class there, man. I like that.
This is why I'm so paranoid, Jason, when we write our code. He's like, no, it'll be fine if it gets to here. It should be this like, no, put in another check.
We gotta make sure.
1 millionth nanosecond to do that if check and fail out if it's don't assume ever.
Yeah. No, it's and you know what? And
That's
you're
how
gonna try to
speedruns
catch them all, but they're still gonna be there. And
Yeah.
someone's still gonna break it. It's always gonna be funny. Uh MMOs are my favorite when they break. Like, there was one point where we were taking down world leaders and they weren't like there was no achievement or anything like that. But we took down like we brought like 200 people to
in a game. In a game,
Undercity
we're
and
talking
killed
about a game.
Sylvanas. And we took her down, and then like the game just didn't know what to do, like at all. It was like, oh, this person had so much health, it doesn't know what to do, so it crashed.
Nice.
It was awesome.
The sleeper
Yeah.
in EverQuest 1. They find it 18 hours. They wasn't supposed to be killable, and people just like ground it. They got an alliance of 100 different guilds come in and just beat on it constantly for 18 hours, swapping people out. And the devs had to come in at some point and just despawn it because we're like, we don't know what's going to happen when it dies. And then they did it again over a holiday weekend when none of the devs were on, and they like didn't make a thing about it, and they killed it, and it dropped no loot.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is when there's nothing, like when you kill something, like in the game is like, oh, there's supposed to be a loot drop after a specific thing, and then it's just like the game just errors out. Or God, I love that. The my one friend's game he released 2 years ago now. He didn't have me beta test it, but I got the game when it first dropped, and I was like talking to the devs. I was just like, oh, how's everything going? And I beat it within 2 hours, but I soft locked the game, and I found out there was like 5 soft locks because no one decided to think like me, like a fucking idiot. And I would intentionally like grab an object and be like, hey, for some reason it clips out of bounds. Let me just drop it out of bounds. Oh, I can't get it, so game soft locked. And so he had to like fix so much stuff that morning. I felt so bad. I think he did like 3 hot fixes within the first like 6 hours.
No, man, that's like as a developer, I love that. And when I see that happen, I'm excited to go in and fix it. I'm like,
yeah, I have to find the chat with my one friend because I was like, is this intended? And he goes, LOL, no.
That's
seriously
great.
It's a tip for anybody developing games or helping test games. Go watch speedrunners.
Yeah.
Go watch speedrunners on games that aren't the normal, like a fighting game or a adventure game, because those get tested a lot. Go watch them play like some weird off the wall, like, you know, Cooking Mama or stuff like that. Like those games do not get tested in weird ways because people play them by the rules. Those games are so broken because they never got tested. They didn't get written. They're not defensive coded because they're like, oh, the 50-year-old grandma who's sitting there, I want to play my Cooking Mama and flip my little things. You know, cozy games are so horribly broken.
Hey,
I know.
100%.
I am offended as a 50-year-old grandma who played all the Cooking Mama games. I am upset that you called me out like that. You're not wrong, but still.
Speaking of soft locks, we had that problem. If you could buy ingredients and you could resell them, and you got 80% of your money back, so you could sell them back. If you took your starting money and bought all the stuff and sold your ingredients over and over and over, and so you got a little bit of a loss, you could get yourself down to 0 money, and you couldn't do anything. You couldn't buy anything. Customers wouldn't come in because you didn't have anything for sale, and your game was broken. We had to add a safety net that if you hit $0, the game would just like, okay, we don't know what you did. Here's $500 starting money back over.
Yeah,
you know, have fun.
There is a special case in there. If you run yourself out of money and ingredients, Mare Chicken comes and bails you out. I don't know if anybody's actually like legitimately gotten to it, but I did test it to verify that it works right. But yeah, what was the one you sent me a video that Thor did on another game that would soft lock if you like threw away all your key items at the beginning? And then they went in and fixed it so you'd get them back.
Oh, it was one of those like survival puzzle games, like in a pod or something. You had like a radio or you had your main tool, your scanner or whatever. But there was a mechanic to like get rid of items, like you dump them into space. It was like a space garbage chute. But you could like, oh, I don't need this anymore. Get rid of it. If you took your thing that was like your interaction device and you put it in there, you were just boned. So they had to build in a mechanic where if you did that, you would like get it in the mail immediately back, and like a little note from like, oh, you seem to have dropped this, signed alien language. You know,
that's funny. Yeah, that's a good way of dealing with that.
Man.
Here, I'll send you the screenshot, Jay. But this is talking to my friend who made the game like within hours after the game came out. And the first question I was like, "Is that intended?" His response is just great.
Oh, that's awesome. No,
Yeah, the game is really
Lamau.
funny, but like you can there's a part in the game where you use like you use picture frames to like kind of solve puzzles, and like you're able to interact with the surrounding thing. But I was able to frame a camera in a way and you can't do that, and it just locks it out. So I broke that room really quickly. Like it was really, really funny. So that's one of my favorite things to do, is just break video games that people say you can't break. And he was like, I don't think you can get out of bounds. And then I found a way within like the first 20 minutes to get out of bounds. Because Ocarina of Time broke my brain, because
Yep.
obtuse angles and acute angles you can just clip through.
Yep.
And I'm
yep.
like, okay, it's possible in every game.
Is it
Games
just
don't
like
exist.
okay? The two most broken, well, I'd say two, but sort of three. The 3D and the N64 Zelda games, I consider them the same game because they basically are.
Yeah.
And Mario 64. Was it a flaw in the Nintendo programmers of the time, or was it a flaw in like the N64 like graphics engine they were using, or like the N64 hardware? Like, why the fuck are all the N64 games so
they weren't
insanely broken?
They weren't solved problems yet. That was early enough in the realm of 3D gaming that they weren't solved problems yet. Like, they were still feeling out how to handle that stuff. And it took years and years of that before we got to the point where, like, now it's all in engine because it's a solved problem. For the most part, you can still do it very wrong. But that's as they were, like, still figuring out the best way to do it. Like, did you see Pan and Coke's video about the invis walls in SM64?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. They had that concept of ceiling polys and floor polys, and where they didn't overlap, the behavior was a specific way. And the tools they had made it so that there were a lot of those gaps where things didn't intersect quite right. You know? So I can see that as like the growing pains of moving into a whole new dimension in gaming.
Yeah.
Literally.
I think like the big thing, like, you know, out of bounds stuff and, you know, kind of just being able to do anything 3D is just so fresh. But like with Ocarina of Time, like just getting out of bounds or like seam walking, like just putting two objects together, they just didn't even like think about, oh, well, no one's going to be able to like, you know, get through this. Like this is fine. But like it's just all done like super easily. So it's just there's checks that like Ocarina of Time or like Zelda people do that are really stupid that I used to do. I would hit walls and look at the values and then see if they changed, to see if like a wall you could do something specific on. Like I would just sit there and just mash jump slash like anything against walls to see if there was any crazy value that came differently, just to see if I could break it.
Yeah.
So it's just there's just some people that just broke the game too like wide open. There's a great interview with Rom Scout where he's interviewing Iga, who is one of the, like, you know, the creators of Symphony of the Night, and was like, why did you allow this to happen as a joke? Because there's a skip that you can do. It's called Death Skip right at the beginning of the game. Where you keep all of Alucard's like, you know, gear.
Oh, the fly through that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do big toss. You do like there's a bunch of different ways to do it. But he was just like talking to Iga and was just like fighting doppelgangers. Like, hey, why did you allow this to happen? He's like, dude, what do you mean? Like, we didn't allow this to happen. You just found a way to get around it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So it's just they don't ever think about that because they're like, oh, this should work as intended. Like, you should lose it, but stupid gamers are too smart sometimes in figuring out ways to exploit. Like the fastest way to exploit that now is luck mode, where they give you it's a save file or a starting file where you start with like 99 luck with no health.
Yeah.
But with your health value so low, you just get hit by something, you fly across the screen, so you don't have to do a specific like you don't have to do like this crazy sub-pixel setup. So you just get launched across the screen, and then you're fast enough, you go through the loading screen, so you don't have enough time while you're on the screen to trigger the cutscene. So you just skip right through it.
Yeah.
The only thing you got to worry about is the jump over that section, because if you go down, you'll like be in a forever falling glitch, which is funny. But
Worth it to keep your gear though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth every time. Like, because that game just becomes like the easiest game on planet Earth.
Yep.
Because everything dies in like one hit.
Man, you know what I want, and I've been saying this for a long time, and I think I might know how to make it happen. And it's not going to be a this year project, but I think I might know how to make it happen. Is they've got like SMZ3R, the Link to the Past Super Metroid crossover rando. I want one that's Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night.
That'd be cool.
And I think I know how we can make something like that happen now.
I'd blow up because I love one of those games and I hate the other because I hate Super Metroid so much after learning the speedrun.
Yeah.
That game, it's a roller coaster of emotions because you're like, oh wow, this game's really fun. Oh wow, it's kind of clunky, and then you start mastering the movement, and then you think you're good, and then you bonk one time, and it's the worst feeling on planet Earth.
Yeah,
I hate that game because it makes you feel so sad all the time when you mess something up.
Yep. You're just ready to like burn down the whole building and start from scratch after you clip once just wrong after you speed boost
that game,
2 pixels too high.
Yeah. Whereas like Symphony of the Night is you press triangle and circle in a cadence that's really fast and you get to move ridiculously fast. And so it's just movement that's so nice. Yeah, that would be really fun. I'd have a good time with that if that got figured out. That'd be the big thing I'm into right now is entrance randomizers. Where it just like you go into a door and it's another place on the map and like figuring out the logic on that. And I think that's my like number one favorite thing is entrance randomizers with enemy randomizers, so you have no idea what the hell you're doing.
Yep, you just show up someplace new.
We accidentally had that in Mudoku's Digits.
Oh yeah.
Because you would go into you would go into like, oh, I'm going to walk in the dungeon, and something in memory got like one part of code assumed 0 through 8 for your 9 dungeons, and another part of the code considered 1 through 9 for the dungeon number. And like we used dungeon number versus dungeon index, and it got confused someplace, and you would walk into what you thought was dungeon 2 and it put you in dungeon 5, and then you would walk out and it would exit out of like dungeon 6, but you would walk back into 6 but it wouldn't go back in. And we're like, it's broken and it doesn't make sense because we were doing like math because like, oh, add to figure out where you exited, but you would go back in, but that one was off. So like the exit points were also offset based on the other one, but then we would figure out where that was on the map and put you out there, but that one was off. So it's like you could just walk in and you were in the wrong dungeon. You walk out and you were at a different dungeon. You walk back in that one. It's like,
that's
but
awesome.
It wasn't even like repeatable. And we're like, we just had to go line by line for every place you entered or exited. Like, what exactly are your values?
Where are we?
What is happening?
If you're ever interested, like, because you've probably seen wrong warping in Ocarina of Time, but like knowing why that works is really, really funny. Because it works off of a timer that you're in a blue light and it counts off the last entrance that you were in. So why wrong warping in like the original Ocarina of Time speedrun was a thing was it counts your last cutscene that you were in, and what happens there is when you go into you cancel out of warping out of a blue point, like after beating a boss, you're able to it counts down or counts from where your last cutscene was, so it gets you to the correct place. But you can do a specific trick where you're able to not fully be in the blue warp and you can get out and the timer will start going, and if you look at the warp and you'll go through it. But you're able to set it up in a specific way where you start from the Deku Tree and you go all the way to Ganon Collapse, Tower Collapse, because you let enough time pass because the timer is going internally to get you to the warp point. It's just so funny. So it's just like how they handle is like based off cutscene and like from there, and it counts up from there to the next warp. It was so funny when that was discovered. It was like 2011, 2012 when wrong warping was found, and then they were just like, "Wait a minute, this is crazy."
Man, I love it.
Warping.
So entrance randos, you say, huh?
They're fun.
If I take
funny.
Link to the Past and we add just a little bit of code to it so that it can reshuffle entrances every time you go into or out of an entrance.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
There's one.
I only know one run in Link to the Past, by the way. I only know the ending percent, which is beating the game in like 3 minutes. That's it. I've not played that game.
Is that the one with the level glitch?
Yeah, where you're able to you jump and pause and save and quit, so like your sprite is higher, and then you get hit and you get pushed down to the lowest point. Yeah.
Did you see when Jiggy's chat did that? We set up like a Twitch Plays thing where we use Bluetooth to control the system.
I remember that.
Danny Music wrote out a strategy guide for chat, and chat was able through chat commands controlling Jiggy's Switch to do an any % Link to the Past.
That's awesome.
Using that. That was unreal, and I loved it.
That's fun. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
We've been talking about speedrunning and glitches and all that stuff.
It's one of my favorite things to watch, man. A lot of this now, like everything I'm doing now, all of what I'm doing now, I can trace back to like accidentally bumping into task videos when it started. And that got me into like the community for that and the community for real-time runs and, you know, watching people on Twitch. And like I can follow it all back to that moment, you know.
Yeah.
Seeing the early runs of Mario 3 and everything done for task videos. Back before they even had their own domain. It was all on Biscuit's website, you know?
Yeah. No, it's very funny because I've definitely gone into life, like I got into speedrunning and like watching and all that stuff around 2011. And I was like, I felt very new because like the scene was not super established, but it was pretty well like, you know, tight knit at that point. So I still feel like a new person after, you know, 13 years.
I get it.
But I definitely like I got my start like the first speedruns I did, I still do them. Resident Evil 2. I was big into Myst speedrunning. I was the world record holder for a little bit on that game for like 6 years straight because I was a loser. Like I watched Narcissa Wright playing Ocarina of Time. I watched Siglemic with N64 or SM64. I got my start with all that, and then that's when I started knowing of, you know, GDQ, and I met Drew, who's my coworker now, which is awesome. So I got to, you know, experience all that fun stuff because I found a random website called Justin.tv.
Yep.
My favorite website that no longer exists.
Well, an incarnation of it.
No, it's just dead. That's gone. It was its own separate thing.
Yeah.
I remember my login and everything, and I can't go back. It's gone.
Nah, I feel
Redirects. Rest in peace, Justin TV. You were the
they did finally retire the internals of it a few years ago.
in chat. Yeah.
Which is crazy because Justin TV stuff that they wanted to just became popular on Twitch.
Yep.
They just wanted to do IRL content and all that stuff, and it just became popular over on the gaming, which is just so funny to think about.
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. So, happy Kamptober. Tell us a little bit about that.
So Kamptober was just an immediate reaction to Jiggy's Jigtober. And that's all it is. I just wanted to piss him off. And it worked a little bit. I just haven't been able to stream because of work, unfortunately.
No,
taking my existence of wanting to be on Twitch.tv. But I'll be back probably tomorrow streaming. All it is it's forcing myself to stream again and interact with the group of people that enjoy watching me. And I get to play games where I have a good time and I'm not, you know, cooped up talking to myself about how stupid a run is, or watching a video and being upset because I can't do a certain trick. So that's what streaming is. It's I wanted to I've mentioned this on stream, is like I want to get back into, you know, semi-regularly going live because now I don't have the obligation of Zeldathon, because I used to fear it because I feel like people would only come in and watch me because they wanted to get invited or they wanted information. And that's just, I don't know.
It can be a heavyweight. Yeah,
no, that's why, like, one of the big things, like, when I became like a director and stuff like that, I made it a point, like, I'm not part of the Twitch team. I was never part of the Zeldathon Twitch team. I didn't want to be. Like, I wanted my whole thing so separate because
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about it. So now I have the opportunity, which is really nice. I get to, I can talk about Coliseums, which I absolutely love talking about, because I can just be like, oh, I can't talk about this, but it's gonna be really cool. Like, it's more public, whereas like Zeldathon is always like secretive
Big
on
big
its
secrets, big
things.
secrets. Yeah.
Big secrets all the time, and I hate big secrets. Get me out of here on big secrets. Like,
But
we
plus,
just
I
say,
want to be
like,
able to say piss on my stream without anybody coming in and like kicking down my doors.
yeah, no, I towards the end of Zeldathon, definitely became more of the, hey, I'm gonna run that line and be on the other side of the line sometimes, and saying some
Yeah.
funny things.
Which
So
worked. Which worked. You need it. You need
I
it
get
every once
away
in a while.
I get away with a lot of things, and people are like, I can't believe you said that, and I was like, and they're like, but it was a good moment because it is like an icebreaker. I was like, please continue to say stupid things that I say
Yeah.
without thinking, but
Yeah.
don't say racist things or horrible things. Like, just say something stupid.
Yeah. No. Be dumb and funny.
Yeah,
And not mean, but
yeah,
the phone call when they called you when you were picking up barbecue.
dude. Like, I was like a block away, and like I was just like, I don't know if they're on stream, but I'm gonna say, because I
Who
said I
cares?
got hush
Lean
puppies,
into it.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just gonna go with it. And
Yeah. I'm still mad
that's
I didn't eat the rest of your hush puppies. I should.
those are so good.
That
Those are
place
my
is amazing. Yeah.
yeah, Cookout's goated. Like, it's so good. That's one thing. Like, when I go visit MC, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm taking the 30-minute drive. I don't care. Want to cook out and spend $10 on the whole menu?
For real, man. I know it's a bit of a hike, but I like next time you're on this side of the country. Are you going to AGDQ?
Depends.
Okay.
I'm possibly going. I got to figure out my travel things, because right now, how my whole year, the rest of the year is looking out is, I have to go to the office next week for direct relief. We're helping produce an IRL event,
Ooh.
and then after that, I have a couple early November things, and then I have MC's
Yeah.
project, which I'm traveling out to.
When are we going to be
Immediate-
allowed to talk about that? I know it's up to him, but
soon.
God, I
Soon.
hope
But I got
so.
that, so I'm traveling to his place, and then immediately after that, him and I go to Florida for another event, and so that's like the beginning of December at that point. So it's either I stay until January, again, like I did last year
Yeah.
for AGDQ, or I go back home and come back for AGDQ. It being in Pittsburgh is nice. Like, I haven't been to AG or GDQ since I was supposed to go to the last SGDQ, the last two, but I just work was in the hurricane season. We can't do anything.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to AGDQ since 2020, where that was in Florida, and that was probably my favorite AGDQ we've ever had. So I'm hoping to get back, and connect with a lot of people. And GDQ is doing a big fundraiser for us this upcoming weekend, which
Yeah.
is really cool. That kind of happened out of nowhere. Maddie, who's the CEO, he reached out to us and was just like, "Hey, let's do a fundraiser again," because the last one they did for direct relief was during COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I want to get back out there and talk to some staff, meet some of the new staff, talk to some of the old heads that I've known for a long time. Get back with the community, because when I get there, like, you'll see me like having meetings like I normally do, but then like for 2 hours there'll be a moment where I'm just sitting at a CRT with a game you've never seen in your entire life,
Yep.
and I'm just learning how to break it. So I'll just like go on like a flash cart and just find the most random game. I look at speedrun.com, nothing's there, and I try to break it for like at least 2 hours until someone finds me, and then I'll have to do another meeting.
No, I feel it. That event is close enough that it's like driving distance for me, and I'm
Yeah.
really, really like considering, because there's a
So-
lot of people there I know I'd love to see. There are a
Yeah.
lot of people I don't know yet, but I've talked to, and I'd love to like meet and pick
Mhm.
their brain in person. And I'm a little bummed that I won't get to meet Peanut Butter.
Yeah, no, the one thing I tell everyone about GDQ is, make sure when you go, you have 5 people that and you're good to hang out with, because if you don't have a squad, like of that size, you're going to kind of be aimless the entire time. And I hope they fix this issue with GDQ because the on-site experience is kind of like it's not the greatest
Yeah.
for a large like convention, but having 5 people and then having someone with a car. So if you're the one with the car, then it's great because then you can just leave
Yeah.
and go do your own things. Because there's plenty of places where the hotel is that I'm familiar with in there is just awesome. And Abby lives down there too, so you can go visit her, get some great food. So, but having just knowledge of people there and that you're able to hang out with at any given point, you kind of need that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I say is don't go sit in the stream room ever, unless you want to watch like one run. You should be like in the game room. You should be hanging out with people the entire time. Like if you're sitting in the marathon room, like you should just be at home at that point because it's just a worse experience.
I get
in
that.
my
I get
opinion.
that.
Yeah.
I did a couple shifts from Tech Room at Zeldathon this time around, and like working it is interesting. Watching it is horrible. Watching tech is it's bad. It's bad.
No, you should like the long time ago when it was everything was one computer, everything was one. So one person was running the entire hoopla. Whoa, that sucked. Because you were donation reader, screen switcher, audio person.
Ooh.
You were the shebang. Yeah, that was the worst. There's pictures of me just dying.
That's
for like 6 hours.
That's going to be me at Hurgle Helps this time around while we're figuring out how to do it. I'm going to be like mashing all the buttons and organizing things.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
definitely
I'll be your showrunner. You're the general. You're the people person. You do.
I'll do donation reading. That's perfect. Yeah. All right.
No. We'll have an AI speech bot do the donation reading.
So with that in mind, if we actually do go crazy and put together some sort of charity event run by Hurgle, because I'm crazy like that, hypothetically, what would you want to do? If I said, hey, we're taking segment submissions, you're one of my favorite people to see do something, would you like to do something? What would you submit? Just curiosity.
For online, I'd have to look at the catalog on what I can and can't do or what I want to do to make it enjoyable. I have a really good time, and it's like any runs I've ever done. Like I usually only like do speed runs for when I go to like events. Like I've done a couple Castlevania Resident Evil ones, but I like doing them because there are things that always happen that I can never account for. So an instance is I did a Resident Evil 1 speed run at the Speed Gamers event, and I have never seen a specific attack from a hunter, and it'll instantly kill you. And it was one of the funniest things because I was under such a time constraint. I was supposed to do both scenarios, Jill and Chris, within 2 hours, and I don't save because who saves?
Yeah.
So I lost an hour of progress because I didn't know what was going on. So I like just doing like fun educational runs and just kind of like talking and breaking down things. But I'm down to do anything. I love multiplayer games. I don't know, like Helldivers 2 would be fun, like getting a squad, or Lethal Company doing some crazy mods with that. It could go 2 routes. Like it just depends on who would want to be involved with my segment, because it could either be crazy like my Zeldathon segments where it's just off the walls nonstop, or it could be more focused where I'm just like doing more of the showing off some cool things.
Well, here's a pitch for you, Fuzzy. We're ostensibly a software development studio. How about our theme is like the most scuffed games, the most broken games? Show us how you can break them. And talking to Campy today, like I'm thinking that might not be a bad idea for this.
That'd be really fun.
Like, yeah, what don't we do? This is research for us.
Yeah, no, if there's enough lead up time, like there's plenty of games out there we could just fully break and just show off like ridiculously like really funny things. So I would do anything, like whatever the basis of the event is. I would kind of form it around that and just kind of go from there. I just like I like having segments sometimes and just being crazy. I like when people don't confine me into a box and tell me I can't be funny.
Oh yeah, no.
That's my favorite thing.
We're there for the campy experience, man. That's why we would be bringing you in the first place. We want you as a whole ass person.
My favorite thing is when I got rid of the couch, not last Zeldathon, the Zeldathon before. I just put a green screen on the couch, and I was like, "There's no couch. It's gone.
Does
and
not
MC's
exist.
like, "Oh, I want to take away the couch too," and then he took away the couch too, and that was awesome.
Yep. Oh, that was
I just love breaking the
great
old
stuff.
mold.
Great stuff. Because sometimes you fall into like a trap with the formula there, you know? Shaking that up keeps things interesting. In my ever so humble opinion, having run precisely 0 shows. I don't know. As a consumer of content, I know exactly how to do everything on the back end. That's how it works. I watched it. We're all good. I seen it once.
Yeah, but I would love whenever you decide to create your event, I would love to be involved with it. If you have any questions or if you have anything that you want to work with me on, just let me know. I definitely have been trying to, I've been telling you, I've been trying to get you involved with, some other projects. But if there's anything that you need from me or want to chat, I'm always down just to hang out and give my my 2 cents. I got 2, maybe 3 cents. But yeah, if there's like anything, just let me know. I'm always down to, help out as much as I can.
Very, very much appreciated. And I am sure I will take you up on that. Let me throw you one more shout out here in the chat. Campy DK, if you're not following him already, doing Kamptober, which is, it's just a joke. I'm not going to hype it up too much. But go follow this man. Go see more of the fun shit that he's doing right now.
Yeah, definitely. Like, biggest thing I'd say is like check out all of the, check out my Twitter, twitter.com. I'm not calling it the other one, twitter.com/campydk. Do a lot of announcements on cool things. I just teased a Zelda Coliseum, which that could happen.
What?
Yeah, that's the funny thing is that's been in the pipeline since 2018. Like that's been in like the works, and I want to still do it. And I've talked to a couple of people, but I think the next one, spoilers, is I think we're gonna work on Dark Souls. We're gonna do a Dark Souls Coliseum. So
oops, you died, but a whole colo, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
every time you die, pass the controller.
Oh yeah, no, we did that at Kaizo, which was really fun.
Yep.
We actually did a really cool thing. It freaked me out because I was like really scared because I thought my account was gonna get banned. But we did a PvP tournament, but like to create the characters, it takes so long to get all the gear. So I used a cheat engine and a table to do everything. And so during that whole time, I had to make sure every flag was set properly. So because when a From Software game detects a file, before you even get into like out of like the loading screen of the game, it'll tell you like you're banned. So I had to go through each checkpoint at flag to make sure like I had the correct quests done, have the specific things. That was a nightmare because like it was not only my account that could get banned, but it was also Grand Pooh Bear's account that could get banned.
Oh yeah.
So we were just sitting there creating like all these characters and making sure like we weren't gonna get banned for making hacked characters. So that was really fun. But I think that's the next one. We have a secret event that we're announcing very shortly with a really cool partnership. The time frame on that is the end of January at the moment. Brand new Coliseum, and then a returning Coliseum's coming back in the beginning of December. So
nice.
A lot of cool events. And then MC's event as well that Jay and I will be able to talk about soon, which I'm excited about.
Fuzzy knows about it too, just for the record. But
yeah, no, I'm a technical director on that event, which is really cool.
What do I know about?
You know about the thing that we can't talk about, MC's thing.
MC's project. MC's got a cool other project that he's working on right now that I'm very excited for. All he keeps saying is he wants to go to space, so I'll leave it at that. That he just wants to go to space.
Oh no, I know what you're talking. I think I know what you're talking about, and I need to talk to him about that too.
Yeah, so we're gonna figure that out. But there's more events for me to come soon to be announced. I got some personal projects that I'm working on for next year. One of the cool ones I'm working on is I'm actually trying to bring plays and all that stuff to Twitch. So I want to bring like the Nutcracker like performances from playhouses. So that's something like my whole next kind of like passion project is to get live performances such as that onto Twitch so people can watch and enjoy. So
I am so into that
cool stuff.
I am so into that.
I'm such a theater kid. I did like 4 years of theater, which a lot of people are like, what the hell? I'm like, theater's great, dude. I love it.
How do I diplomatically say, yeah, no, 100%, as a theater kid, you're a theater kid. I see it. I know it.
Yeah, I love show tunes and all that shit.
I feel it. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you being here. It's been super informative, whole lot of fun, hella inspirational. Hope you guys have had a good time, too. Make sure you're following Campy. His shout-outs up there. Hit the heart button, ring that bell, subscribe, like, retweet. I don't even know what you do nowadays. But I think we are going to call it for today. We, speaking of hurricane efforts, are going to crash in on our good mutual friend Jackson Perotti, who is out there streaming live until the storm removes his ability to do so, because he's a goddamn madman, and I love him for it. So let's go send some love over to our good friend Jackson. Let me type in my raid command here. Jackson Perotti. There we go. Make sure to throw my raid call in there. Let me see if my button works. Boop. There's my raid call. Copy paste it. Nice. I got a Stream Deck button to raid call for all the channels I'm on for.
That's awesome.
Once again,
thank you again. Yeah, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate it. And if any other time you want me as a wacky guest just to chat about stupid stuff as gaming and all that, I'm always down.
Absolutely, man.
My line's free.
We will keep you on the list. I would love to have you back. Until next time, thank you so much for being here on the Blue House Bull Session. We will catch you. Be safe, be well, join the Discord, etc., etc. Whoa!